forever. Amen.
Shall I maybe see it? Shalom, Israel. How's everybody doing? Good, good. All right. So tonight's lesson is starting a new segment. So this segment is like you ever watch a show, and that show are different episodes. That's kind of how this is going to be like every month. It's going to be a different episode every month. So the segment is from beginning to end, building the character within. All right. So that's what the overall scope is. So every month is going to be something different. All right. So the main thing is to build character. And first off, may someone give me what it is that you may feel the importance of character is. Anything, whether it may be a personal experience or something that stands out to you. May we, Aaron, you grab the mic? Oh, who got the mic? Oh, loud, man. May you pass the mic to Lisa, please, sir?
How you deal with people.
Got you. Okay, anybody else? Go ahead. May you pass to the bar?
I know that we are habitual, so anything that we practice, we do it more often or more frequently. So as far as character is concerned, if you just have it and you practice it regularly, it'll be a part of your nature.
Correct, correct. That's also true. Anybody else want to share something? Okay, go ahead, Kabosh.
As the scripture says in Proverbs, it says a good name is to be chosen. So your character is a reflection of you and how you identify yourself. So having a good character is, or a bad character is how people are going to remember you for whether the things, your actions. So that plays a part of it.
Got you, got you, got you. All of those are beautiful answers, all right? They're all correct. So different aspects, right? So like I said, from beginning to end, building the character within. And may we get the definition of character? I want to get it from dictionary.com and read some of the points. Whoever can get it, I'm look it up too, but if someone has it, you can pass the mic to them to read it. See if I get the definition. All right, so I have it. All right, I can read it. You want to read it? Just read them down to like number 5.
Definition of character: the aggregate of features and traits that form the individual nature of some person or thing.
Ooh, it said the traits that form the nature of this person. What is your nature? Is your nature hospitable? Is your nature selfish? Is your nature one that is entreating? Is your nature one of counsel, reasoning? Is your nature one of wisdom? Is it of foolishness? Is it of stupidity? So what is your nature? And building it to make it more of what it is that you truly want it to be. Read on.
One such feature or trait, characteristic, moral or ethical quality.
Your moral or ethical qualities. That's what it is that in Hope, every month I'm able to help build more and more into you. Help improve your moral and ethical what? Qualities, all right? Improving your qualities, all right? Read on.
It says, a man of fine or honorable character.
That's what we're trying to bring, fine and honorable character. That's an honorable sister. That's an honorable brother. That's what we want to be, right? So that's where it is that we want to be. You know what? When you put yourself in mind to become that, when you desire that, you'll slowly become that. Just like, for example, you know, like the biggest thing, that's one of my biggest things. I want to, improve my character. I want to be better. I want to do better. I want to be a better father, a better husband. And a lot of times, like I tell others, you becoming like, just say parent. You becoming that better parent, and somebody say like, man, do I have to buy these books? Or, you know, what books should I be reading to become that better parent? You know, usually you buying or reading the book isn't necessarily within itself going to make you a better parent. But the desire for you to even think to buy the book to help you become a better parent is what's going to help you become that better parent. You get me? It's the desire. You want to be better. You want to do better. Doesn't mean you're the best in that area. You may desire to be diligent and just be slothful or be off and just be wrong as hell in some areas, but your desire is to be better. So eventually you'll become the person that you desire to be in due season. You get me? So that's the goal. That's the desire, all right? So I have that desire to be better, and I have the desire to help improve those around me so that they can be better, All right, that's what I want. I want to be better and do better. Continue.
Qualities of honesty, courage, integrity, reputation.
Reputation, having a good reputation. Let's get Job real quick. This is a different one. I want to get an example of Job's character. Let's get Job chapter 1. And let's read Job chapter 1. And let's read verse 5. You can read verse 4 through 5. We'll come back to this. Go ahead and read that.
Job chapter 1 and verse 4. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them.
Actually, no, I'll be doing a disservice. May read verse 1 first.
Verse 1. There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that man was perfect.
He was what?
Perfect.
Read.
And upright.
Read.
And one that feared God and eschewed evil.
Man, I desire to be like Job. Man, perfect, upright. Man, one that feared the Most High. You know, you can become that, but it takes work. A lot of us, we want to be like Daniel or Judith or Esther, you know, or Ezra, but it takes work to become that person. It takes a constant building and examining of oneself. Hold that real quick and get us 2 Corinthians 13 and 5. We're coming right back to that. These are scriptures that are all off the record, but it's going with the Spirit. Get 2 Corinthians 13 and 5.
The book of 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 5. Examine yourselves.
Man, examine yourself. Examine yourself. What does it mean to examine? Let's get that definition real quick. When I see examine, I'm going to just get a couple of them. It said examine yourself. It says to inspect or scrutinize carefully, to observe, test, or investigate, to inquire into or investigate, to examine, to test the knowledge, reactions, or qualifications of. You have to be able to test yourself, prove yourself, examine yourself, see how qualified you are within your own spirit. If you're doing that within your own spirit, it makes it so much easier when others are helping you do it. Because you're already doing the first part of it is, man, I'm accepting that I'm not the best, that I'm not doing things in the best light or the best spirit, and I'm fighting to do better. I'm examining what is it that I'm failing at as a parent? What am I doing where I'm failing at as a husband? And how can I improve where I'm failing at as a brother? You know what? If it's a situation where I'm not being as calmly in my approaches, then let me work on that. Let me work to be better and do better. Hold that. Where is it that I want to go? Get Ecclesiasticus. Get Ecclesiasticus. Chapter 20 and verse 1. Read that. Ecclesiasticus chapter 20 and verse 1.
Ecclesiasticus 20 and 1. There is a reproof that is not comely.
So there's a reproof that's not comely. Comely means to be beautiful. There's a reproof that is not adequate, that is not beautiful. So it's an aspect when I may correct someone, I may not be doing it in the best way. I may not be first getting the understanding and then giving a particular answer. So go ahead and flip over. We're going to flip over a few chapters. This is why this is important. Go ahead and get Ecclesiasticus chapter... Get Ecclesiasticus. Hold on 1 minute. I want to get that one. 11 and 7. Because, man, this is what I have to make sure I'm perfecting this. Get Sirach chapter 11 verse 7. Read that.
Sirach 11 and 7. Blame not.
Do what?
Blame not.
Read.
Before thou hast examined the truth.
Man, blame not before you have examined the truth. Getting all of the information, getting all of the evidence, have an understanding of what that person's situation is. Read.
Understand first.
Do what first?
Understand first.
Read.
And then rebuke.
Man, get the understanding and then rebuke. I have to do that with my children, with my wife, in Tila, with others I interact with. What is the understanding? If someone is late, I'm not just saying, damn, Mark, why was you late? You know, or excuse me, as I was. I'm not going to say, hey, you communicate, whatever it is, I have to make sure you look, why was this person late? Because sometimes you may have it where one might jump to a harsh punishment where you don't even know why this person was late or what made them late in the first place. You know, why didn't they, you can send your wife to the store, how come she didn't get this? Instead of saying, well, damn, this ain't what I asked you to get, why you get this one? It's like, you know what, was this the only one I had? Was this, you know, just how you go about it and how you deal is very important, all right? That can make the difference in, once again, how you can be received. Am I being received the way that I'm intending to be received based upon how I'm dealing, all right? So go ahead and go back to 2 Timothy. 2 Corinthians 13:5. I'm sorry. Go ahead and read that.
2 Corinthians 13:5. Examine yourselves, whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves.
Man, prove your own self. Prove yourself to yourself first. Read.
Know ye not your own selves?
Because that's something you should know. You should know yourself. You should know, man, I'm lacking in these areas. I'm not being the best I could be in these areas. I'm not being the best brother I could be. I'm not being as understanding. I'm not making myself as available for brethren. I screen the calls. When I see brother calling, man, I ignore it. I ain't trying to talk to him right now, you know. But nah, I got to make myself available because for that brother, he might be going through something where he needs me. Let me make myself available. Let me see what I can do to help this individual, all right? So now let's get back to the script. So, man, go back to where we were and when we first started. Job. Man, Job. Yeah, get there. Please, Job chapter 1. Let's go back to that. Job, his character. Go ahead back to, let's go ahead and read. Yeah, we read verse 1. Let's go ahead and read verse 4 and 5.
Verse 4. His sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all.
But why did he do this? Read.
For Job said, it may be.
It what?
It may be.
He said it may be. Read.
That my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually.
Man, that's character. Because a sacrifice, man, that's money. That's money right there. He said, look, I'm going to do this. Man, they may have done something. Man, just in case, I'd rather be safe than sorry with them. And that was a sacrifice because that was your food, your clothing. Animals weren't cheap. Try to buy a whole lamb today, $300 on average. So that's not cheap. But yet and still, he said, man, they may have done something wrong. Let me just put this up just in case. That's character. And character is very important because, once again, character can mean the difference between someone spending time with you because it's mandatory or someone spending time with you because, man, they just love to be around you. They love to talk to you. They love to hear from you. Man, that's character. That's what you want to be. Man, they desire to be around you. Not just because, man, well, shoot, I only see that brother on the feast. That is it. I only see that sister on the feast. That is it. I ain't trying to deal with him outside of that. So I ain't, not that one. I'll catch you on nights and weekends. That's it. You know, only in the Lord. Man, you don't want to be like that. You want to be a person, man, I love being around that sister. Man, every time I see that sister, make me smile. Love being around that brother. Every time I see that brother, man, I just get a warm spirit, man. It just, man, the way he smiled, the way he moved, man, I feel good, man. It motivates me. That's the type of person you want to be. Go ahead and get, so lesson 1, my father, my leader, my guide, my teacher. So with these, it's always going to be sub-lessons, all right? So many, many lessons. So let's get 1 Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 65. Pre-lesson before the lesson. But let's get 1 Maccabees chapter 2 and verse 65.
Verse 65. And behold, I know that your brother Simon is a man of counsel. Give ear unto him always. He shall be a father unto you.
Man. Now, Simon wasn't the oldest out of his brothers, but he wasn't the youngest either. That's based upon reading in the descending order. A lot of times that's how we're recognized in the descending order of who's eldest and youngest. But yet and still, his father said that, you know, man, give ear unto Simon, he shall be a father unto you. Why was that? Read it again.
And behold, I know that your brother Simon is a man of counsel.
Because he was a man of counsel. Read.
Give ear unto him always. He shall be a father unto you.
How so? How would their brother be a father unto them? In what way? Does anyone would like to answer? Leadership? What else? Advice? You have something, Mom? Wisdom? All right. Anyone else? You have something, sis? No? Okay.
I was going to say he had one of the spirits of the Most High on him, which was of counsel. So that's like basically the Father giving that spirit unto him to give counsel unto them in righteous
Absolutely.
judgment.
Absolutely. We'll touch on a little more as I go into it. Get Ecclesiastes 12 and 9. Get Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 9. Go ahead and read that.
The book of Sirach, chapter 12 and verse 9. In the prosperity of a man, enemies will be grieved. But
I'm sorry, my bad. Ecclesiastes. Man, I'm tripping.
Got you.
My bad. Ecclesiastes 12 and 9.
Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 9. And moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge.
He did what?
He taught the people knowledge.
Read.
Yea, he gave good heed and sought out and set in order many proverbs.
Man, so because the teacher, the preacher, he was wise, he taught the people. And he set in order many proverbs, many wise sayings, many things. And really it's to set up a format that's like, man, you guys ever read the book of Ecclesiasticus? Who's ever like really read it? You like really started reading it? A few brothers, a couple of sisters. And you just see, man, it's just a book of wisdom. And a lot of it is just common sense. A lot of it is just dealings on interactions and how to be and how not to be. That's what more so it is that's more so what I'm just trying to give. More of those things on how to be, how to deal, how not to deal, you know, in ways to help better the people. Get Titus chapter 3 and verse 1. Titus chapter 3 and verse 1.
Titus chapter 3 and verse 1. Put them in mind to be subject to principalities and powers, to obey magistrates, to be ready to every good work.
Man, to put someone in mind, to get them to understand the importance or value of something. To get them in a situation where, generally what I say, understanding helps bring forth compliance. The more I understand something, the more I'm able to adhere to it without a problem. It makes sense to me. I see why I should be operating in a certain capacity. So get Proverbs chapter 1, verse 2 and 5. Get Proverbs chapter 1, verse 2 and 5.
The book of Proverbs chapter 1 and verse 2. To know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice and judgment and equity.
A lot of it comes down to perception, how you see something. It's like, for example, you can have it to where you may have it, let's say, child asks a lot of questions in class. You know, someone might be like, well, damn, it's like mom and daddy teach them at home, and why they asking so many questions? That's something they can ask their mom and daddy at home. That's one perception. Someone else's perception may be, look, you go ahead, ask it in class, you know, someone else might have that same question. You know, just ask it. All a matter of how it is that you might look at it. So go ahead and get Proverbs 19 and 20. Oh, I'm sorry, Proverbs 1 and 4 and then 19 and 20.
Verse 4. To give subtlety to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion.
So to the young man, knowledge and discretion. A lot of times to the young, of course, young man and young woman, you know, at the same time, because an aspect where we can become knowledgeable, we can become very studious, we can have more information, but a lot of times may not know how to apply that information through different facets of life. Not knowing that there's a difference between, like I talk about all the time, knowledge is knowing I may need to correct this brother on something, but wisdom and discretion will let me know when and how to do it, how to go about it, to where I'm being respectful with this brother where he can better accept that correction. He can better deal with it in a way that is a reflection of the scriptures. Go ahead and get Proverbs 19 and 20.
Proverbs chapter 19 and verse 20. Hear counsel and receive instruction, that thou mayest be wise in thy latter end.
Because in order, when you see great men and women of the scriptures, they didn't just wake up wise. No one just wakes up wise. It comes with putting yourself and subjecting yourself unto others who have wisdom to instill within you. You have to hear their counsel. You can't be stubborn and stiff-necked and expect to be wise, expect you're just going to wake up and get it. You have to give ear unto proverbs, unto sayings. Listen unto those who are trying to tell you how to move and how not to move. Even if, go ahead, actually get Tobit. Get Tobit chapter 4 and verse 18. This is another one of my favorites. It reminds me of. Because even though you may not feel that person may have the best character, the most reputable, most honorable, and you might very well feel that person's character isn't as reputable. But yet and still, if that person is giving you words of wisdom, things that can help you, man, chew the meat and spit out the bones. You know, still listen to it. You know, that's one thing. I try to make sure no matter what the concern or issue may be, at least I'm going to give ear to listen, you know, because this person may be telling me something that can very well help improve my character, help improve my dealings, help me become a better father, husband, leader, so on and so forth. So I'm going to do my best to listen unto these individuals. Read on. Read that. Tobit 4 and verse 18.
Verse 18. Ask counsel of all that are wise.
So the first part is, man, ask counsel of all that are wise. You know, shouldn't just ask lottie-dottie anybody for counsel, but ask counsel of all that are wise. Read on.
And despise not any counsel that is profitable.
But at the same time, despise not any counsel that is profitable. If the words are profitable, man, it shouldn't be the biggest thing who it's coming from. To a degree, yes, it does matter. It does matter to a degree. But at the same time, that's not going to cause me to shut off my ears because I may feel this person may be less than in these areas. Man, this person may be wise in these areas, you know, and don't shortchange brothers and sisters either. You know, a lot of people, you may not personally know all of which they have to offer. You know, you don't know who may have certain levels or realms of knowledge that it's like, man, it took for you to have a conversation for them to find out that, man, it's very knowledgeable about this. That could be, man, they could be very knowledgeable about finances, very knowledgeable about, you know, mechanics, be very knowledgeable about, you know, business. You know, you never know until you take the time to listen to the individual. All right, let's go back. We were with that, all of that, 19 and 20. Yeah, go back to Proverbs. May you go back to Proverbs 19 and 20?
Book of Proverbs, chapter 19 and verse 20. Hear counsel and receive instruction, that thou mayest be wise in thy latter end.
Because the goal is so that as time goes on, you grow in wisdom. Because just because you're growing in years, that don't mean you're growing in wisdom. You can have people who are more aged and may not be very wise generally. But at the same time, you can have those that are fairly young and that can possess a lot of wisdom. It can work either way. It all is based upon, once again, which I'll get into, man, remember, everything is a spirit too. A lot of the leaders within Israel, a lot of them were young. King David, King Solomon, those are kids. They were very young. When you look at also too, you know, Daniel, a lot of these prophets, man, they was young. They were kids. But yet and still, because everything is by the Spirit of the Most High too. He said, man, I will raise this person up to be the greatest, even though they may not have had the best beginning. You know, it could have been more lowly, but yet and still, this Most High works his spirit the way he chooses to, both through man and through woman. Go ahead and get Proverbs. Actually, I read that one. Get Hebrews 12 and 16. And here's just the other side of the equation, like I was saying earlier. Get Hebrews 12 and 16. And get an aspect. So a lot of times we have to listen, and I try to make sure I listen with the intent to understand whatever the issue, the problem, the concern is, and not listen with the intent to reply or to respond. You know, sometimes we shut our spirit off to certain things before we even fully get where this person may be coming from, you know, because it may be something I may really need to work on, but because of who it was coming from, I close my ears to the understanding, you know, or because of how I may have felt at that moment or how I may have felt regarding the information that was told to me, I was more dismissive, I was more standoffish, and I wasn't as open and humble as I needed to be. So may you go ahead and read that Hebrews 12 and 16?
Hebrews 12 and 16. But now they desire a better country, that is, a heavenly.
Hebrews 12 and 16? That's
I'm sorry, that's 11 and 16.
It's
Excuse
all right.
me. Hebrews 12 and 16. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright.
So we'll look at things of that nature and we'll say, damn, you know, Esau's a damn devil. And we'll agree with that, Con. We'll agree with that, and we'll scrutinize, and we'll go hard on that. We'll go hard on Esau, you know, about things of that nature. You know, he just profane, man, fornicator, things of that nature. But at the same time, get Ephesians 5 and 24.
Ephesians 5 and 24. Therefore, as the church is subject unto Christ, so let the wives be to their own husbands in everything.
But when it comes to things of that nature, now it's like, that's a harder one. That's difficult. The wives be subject to husbands in what?
In everything.
Now the ball game can change. And a lot of time that's because of our character, how we deal. It's easier when it's Esau, but it's harder when it can be ourselves, when it can be things that now we have to work on. But when it's someone else, the other nation, things that they're doing messed up, it's easier for us to be like, damn, that's damn devil. They doing this and that. But when it's things that, man, I have to be better as a father, as a brother, as a sister, as a mother, it now becomes a lot harder. It becomes a lot more difficult. But continue on. Get Galatians 4 and 16. And a lot of times when we receive correction from anybody, sometimes we feel this way. Get Galatians 4 and 16.
Galatians chapter 4 and verse 16. Am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth?
Man, sometimes people become our enemy because they tell us the truth. Because there are some people, it doesn't matter how you say it, it's still, the point is you said it. That's the offense. There's no way you can say it in the best way. It's just an offense. And sometimes people become our enemy because they are looking out for us. You know, that's a lot of time, even when it happens to us, when a lot of time we're young, even dealing with our parents. We get upset with them when all they're trying to do is look out for our well-being. But yet and still, we rebel. We give more attitudes. When they're at the end of the day, they're just trying to look out for you. You know, we're going to get back to some other scriptures too. Get Acts chapter 7, verse 54 and verse 57. Let's get Acts.
Acts chapter 7 and verse 54. When they heard these things, they were cut to the heart, and they gnashed on them with their teeth.
See, a lot of times, man, the things we hear, we can get cut to the heart. That affected me. I felt some type of way about that. And cut to the heart, that can now trigger a change in our behavior. I'm good. I don't want to deal. I don't want to come. I don't want to support. I don't want to deal with that person because I was cut by the things that they said. But the thing is, it's not more so that they said it, but is it true? Is it something I got to work on? Is it something I need to improve on? Is it something that, you know what, I just didn't want to accept it at that point in time? But it's true. Those are things you got to also evaluate. Go ahead and read verse 57.
Verse 57. Then they cried out with a loud voice and stopped their ears.
They did what?
Stopped their ears.
So they stopped their ears. Sometimes we stop our ears when people are trying to help us. Sometimes we be in mid-conversation. When in our head, we're like, all right, waiting for you to shut up so I can go. Waiting for you to turn around. That's how we be feeling. We stop our ears. We're not trying to listen with the intent to understand anymore. Even knowing that, man, a lot of times, and I know because I get it, sometimes it can work to where this person may have been offended, said some things to me, because they were upset. Now I'm offended. I want to say some things back. But what I try to do is understand that person's pain. Whether it's brother or sister, understanding that person's pain and that right now they're hurt. And I may have very well have done something to hurt that person. So even though this person may not be talking to me in the best way because they're bothered, they're upset, not justifying that that's right, but still try to have the understanding of where this person is at right now. It could be something just as simple as sister's baby's crying, been crying for a while. She might get frustrated. Give me my baby, you know, and it's like, oh, damn, I was just picking him up because he was crying, and why you getting mad at me? But not getting too offended because, hey, she felt like, hey, baby was offended, she like got hurt, whatever it is. Okay, I understand that. Just being a mother, not a problem, you know. So I'm not gonna get all bent out of shape. Well, shoot, I ain't holding your kid no more. You can take him. I don't give a damn. You know, I can't be like that. You know, now I'm taking it personal. Now I'm getting emotional. You know, I'll just say, you know what? You know, sister was hurt because her child was hurt. All right, not a problem. Not your reaction. Brush it off. I don't hold it against the sister. All right, not a problem. So sometimes just got to be water underneath the bridge. All right. So go ahead and get Proverbs 18:2. Go ahead and get Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 18 and verse 2.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 18 and verse 2.
Actually, start verse 1 through 2.
Verse 1. Through desire.
Through what?
Through desire.
Through desire. The first thing we got to have is, like I said, the desire to want to be better. Read.
A man having separated himself seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom.
See that? You separate yourself to grow in certain areas. Sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes you realize, you know what? As much as I could be going on and watching a series of, I don't know, what shows are really popular today on TV? Give me one. What's that? Power. All right. Yeah, you said that. Was that what you said? What was that? All right, you agree? All right, Gotham. All right, so let's just say as much as I could just watch a series on Gotham just all day and binge watch, which of course, hey, sometimes you taking a good break, hey, it's good every now and then. Not saying anything against it. But at the same time, all those hours that I may have put into that, I could have very well been learning how I could better educate my children on certain things, how I can better educate my wife on certain things, how I could better educate myself on certain things, you know, because it's still, you know, certain things I know I got to get back to learn to do better, like doing my daughter's hair. I try to learn, I want to learn how to do their hair better, you know, it's something I want to improve in, you know, so even doing certain things like, man, my typing, I try to, man, let me improve on learning how to type properly because I didn't learn in high school, so let me work on learning that, you know, and even then my sign language, try to practice with my daughters more and, you know, learn and continue my sign language, and then I want to get my Spanish, so, but typing, then sign language, and I'm going to get my Spanish, but slowly but surely, you know, but same thing, even me learning preparation, you know, even me, man, my studies, everything I'm trying to learn and update with weaponry and, you know, aspects of dealings, I got to study, I got to research, you know, I got to learn certain terminology, so, but I could do that here and there and divide some of that time, but yet and still, through desire. It's all about that desire to want to be better in those areas. Same thing. I want to learn about health. I got to put myself and subject myself to hours of studying about health. Just reading scientific journals about how this affects the body, how that affects the body. I just did that and added it to my portfolio. Just added to my portfolio. So then that way when I'm in conversation about, oh yeah, so-and-so, this is the article, this is the study. You know, this is why I don't agree with this study because this was partial because of this. You know, you just intermeddle with all wisdom. Just literally everything from soap to underwear to how often should you change your bed sheets, or, you know, how often should you shower and why? You know, what happens to you if we don't shower? Literally, if I just go a month without shower, what happens? You know, if I shower 3 times a day, what happens? You know, just how does it affect the body? Just intermeddle with all wisdom, just through desire to become better in those areas, because I realized from a young age, man, what I do and don't know will hurt me. You know, me not knowing that having lack of, I'll liken it into vehicles, for example. Me not knowing that just being a couple of PSI below what's rated for my tires affects my gas mileage. So you may not be getting as good gas mileage just because you don't watch the air pressure that's in your tires. But if you didn't know that, then you just would go without knowing, you know, but yet and still, you're still being affected by it. And I don't like that. I don't like to just keep being affected by something I don't know what it is. All right, I like to research anything and everything I get my hands on and just watch hours of videos and just lessons on how to better myself in different areas, just how things work, you know, just watching stuff like that. Why? Because what I don't know can hurt me, you know, what I don't know. If I don't know that sometimes, like potty training my kids, especially like Zamora. When I was first potty training her, I learned it like years ago when I was like 16. We like incentives. And potty training, and of course, my wife was trying different things, and, you know, I said, hey, I know you remember because high school sweethearts, been together since she was 16. So it was like, man, remember we watched Freakonomics? You know, so, and it was talking about, you know, it was in Mr. Stark's class or Miss Lee's class. And they were dealing with how, with the kids, one of the guys was feeding his daughter M&Ms, you know, for a good incentive. So I started doing that with my kids, feeding her M&Ms. And I noticed she did the same thing, just like what happened with his daughter. She got potty trained like that. Every time she knew she went to the potty, she got some M&Ms, so she became a master of the potty. She would go tinkle a little bit, get up, go play, of course, get the chocolate, hold it, and then go potty a little bit later, come back, get some more chocolate, and then go use the potty again. She kept doing that because she knew she was getting chocolate. And that's how she got potty trained like that, real fast, just for the incentive. But think about it, from the mindset of a child, what incentive do I have to be potty trained? I can continue playing, eating, peeing boo-boo, and someone else is going to take care of it for me. There's no incentive for them to learn to be potty trained. There's no benefit for them. The benefit is for you, because you got to stop what you're doing to change their diaper. You got to stop what you're doing to go deal with their mess, because they didn't boo it on themselves. They ain't got to stop what they doing. They can continue doing what they're doing. It interrupts your day, not theirs. So it's like, man, so those are things that I implement, things that I learn, and I just continue to study. Go ahead and get, continue reading. Because
Verse 2.
actually read verse 1 again.
Through desire, a man having separated himself, seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom.
But that's through desire. Read on.
A fool hath no delight in understanding.
But see that a fool, they don't have any delight in it. It is what it is. You know, I don't care. You know, fool just waste money when it's like, man, you can, there's other guides to penny pinching that can very well save you a lot of money if you do it right. Like one of the biggest ones I always say is PMCS, Preventative Maintenance Checks and Services for your vehicle. It's literally the checks and services you do to prevent maintenance on your vehicle, that through the failure or lack of, you're gonna have more mechanical problems. When those problems could have very well been avoided if you just took those 5 minutes every week, or at least every other week, heck, twice a month, to just check the fluids in your vehicle. It will save you maintenance, because a lot of those problems happen when you didn't check your oil, you didn't get your oil changed. You just, a lot of time with the younger generation, you just put gas in and go. You know, you don't even check anything, just gas and go, you know, and just think that's how the car runs. But then again, you may never have been taught how it runs properly. Like, when I was younger, I was forced to learn mechanics, plumbing, and construction. Like, I was raised old school. So you have to learn, like, everything. It was no calling somebody to fix it. Nope, you getting under that house, you fixing the plumbing. Cut it, get the saws off, cut out the piping, get the PVC pipe, go ahead, glue it back in there, you know, so that was it. Same thing. I was working, building a house. You know, we was doing renovations. It was like, nope, we ain't calling somebody, you're going to do it. You know, go ahead, shoot. I learned how to do drywall, bust myself in the head doing drywall, doing on the ceiling and get the nail gun. And I was like, I didn't secure it all the way. Man, let my hand go, hit me in the head. But yet and still, learning lessons, you know. So those were things I was forced to learn from older men in the neighborhood. It wasn't things that was from my parents, you know, things of that nature, because my parents didn't know it all themselves. So, but a lot of it was through the environment my father forced me to be in. You know, the 4 years I was with my father, those are the 4 years he put me in an environment where you're going to learn this, you know. And even then, it wasn't forced in the way of like, every day you got to do it, because my brother was the opposite. My brother was sloppy and lazy. You know, my father called him slop. You know, because he would just, he did. Man, he called him slop because he would just literally just messy. But he wasn't forced in the same way I was forced. It was pretty much optional, you know. So I would go out there, cut the lawn, get the weed eater, do everything. And I would trim up the hedges. Grandmother made sure I did everything good, you know. Dwayne, that's my middle name. Go ahead, get them hedges. Ah, yes, grandmother. Yes, grandmother. You know, yes, grandmother. I learned my mannerisms from my mother and my grandmother. They taught me my mannerisms, but my father taught me like how to actually construct myself in wisdom. But all those things, I didn't really get on my brother, mad on him for not helping me like clean and do the chores, or my sister, because my brother had a mindset of, it was like the Three Little Pigs. It was really the clumps because we was all big, but it was like, man, like literally, like all them diabetics, high blood pressure, but it was an aspect where, because this is part of character. My brother, he only cleaned up when he had a girl coming over, all right? That was it. My sister, she would clean up every now and then, but she hated cleaning up because she said, it's just gonna get dirty again, so why should I clean up? I would clean up like no matter what. I would just clean up like all the time. All the time I would just clean up, you know, so it's like I didn't care. And then my pops would kind of get on me like, how come you don't really get on them for doing it? I said, man, what they do, that's their own character. That ain't gonna help them out through life. You know, that's gonna be on them. So I would just do it myself, do everything. I wouldn't even care. I would just do it, you know, because that was just my character at that. And that was my brother and sister's character, you know, which at the time, I wasn't big on getting on them with. I was just going to do what I had to do to improve my character. So, but yet and still, hey, personal aspect of different character aspects with my siblings. Nevertheless, read verse 2 again.
A fool hath no delight in understanding.
So a foolish person have no delight in understanding, being better. Why you want to get better? Why you want to do that? Why you want to learn wisdom? What's the point of learning that? Read on.
But that his heart may discover itself.
Oh, that your heart just going to discover itself. Like you just going to eventually just wisdom going to hit. That's why it's fool when people say, why you reading that book? You mean to tell me you need a book to get wise? You don't need no book. What you mean? Well, either you're going to read about it or you're going to listen from someone else who read about it or was taught how to do it. That's just pretty much it. You need to have another source in order to get wise. So, but let's go ahead and get Proverbs 13 and 10.
Proverbs chapter 13 and verse 10. Only by pride cometh contention.
Only by what?
Only by pride cometh contention.
A lot of times the problem is only when we're being prideful. Only by pride cometh contention. A lot of times our pride, our ego, or just our emotions, you know, don't feel like doing it, don't want to do it. It's like, man, I can't think like that. You know, I can't let those things get in the way now of me being able to help the next person. You know, it's like, man, like for me, man, I think differently. There was a time I cared, I fell out of caring, I started caring again as far as time went on, more so in the world. Time, man, you know, especially high school and college, I was all in leadership, government, things of that nature. You know, I was always, man, trying to do things to help. And it was like, man, by the time I got to the military, I didn't want to deal with leadership no more. Man, it was just, you meet some of the dumbest people in the military. My goodness, like, man, like, when they want to say, like, dumb as a brick, like, the brick got more wits. Like, man, the brick has a purpose. But here's the thing at the same time. I realized that, you know what, instead of me, because a lot of times we'll laugh at somebody before we go out our way to help correct them and make them better. We'll tease somebody for looking dusty, not having this on, not having that, not wearing that right, before we go out of the way to say, hey, man, come here. Like, hey, you know, I don't know if you noticed, man, but the way this look, this isn't necessarily adequate. That's not a good look. We don't really do that as much, you know, and that's something I realized. It's like, man, it's like you see a sister holding a baby wrong. It's like you just gonna watch her do it. You gonna say something. It's like, man, I gotta say something. And it's like, why? Why you gotta say something? Why you always gotta say something about everything? Because it's like, man, if that was my daughter, I wouldn't let her do that. If that was my wife, I wouldn't let her do that. If that was my sister, my mother, I wouldn't let her do that. So why would I let you do it? That means that if I let you do it, I don't see you as family, you know? So how can I tell my people out there in the street, you got to have love for your brother, man, and you see him in the street, man, you got to tell him to get out when I don't even do that? Then I'm being a hypocrite. So why would I let my brother and sister walk around? It's like the same thing. Some people don't even like me escort them all the time. It's like, man, I wouldn't let my son, if he was, you know, 13, walk around here by himself. So why would I let your son do it? I wouldn't let my wife walk around the corner by herself. I would let your wife do it. So, nah, I can't get down like that. You know, at least my character, my spirit, I can't do that. Someone else choose to do it, that's on them. No, I'm not with you all the time. No. You know, but at the end of the day, when I am there, I'm going to do my best to protect you like I would my own family. That's what family does. At least that's what they're supposed to do, you know. So it's all about mindset. Same thing with, like, leadership. Man, if it wasn't for my drill sergeant, I would not be dealing with leadership right now, because it was like, man, I would hide from leadership. I was hiding, like, as much as I could, being quiet, not trying to do nothing. But it was always something. I was always the leader. Every single time. It was like, man. And then, you know, they'd have talks to me, even like the other soldiers and things of that nature. And even when I went to other duty stations, because some of the soldiers like followed me to other duty stations, and I was like, man, I tried my best to stay quiet and stay in the dark, and it was still like, man, I'm chosen as leader again? And it was like, man, Boswell, no, you avoided it, but it's just always something. I'm like, man. And I asked the drill sergeant, like, man, why me again? He's like, well, most of the soldiers preferred you. And I'm not just dealing with, like, leading just like 5 or 10 people. Most people, that's like, in the civilian world, it's hard to lead hundreds. You don't really get, like, chances to lead, like, hundreds of people. I've led, like, over 300 people at one time, all right? So that's a lot of responsibility, you know, especially when everything falls on you, when things are or are not right. You know, you get chewed out because it's like, man, this was supposed to be done this way. Because it's like there was only one officer higher than me, and that was whoever the head was, whoever the head sergeant. Other than that, I was in control, and I chose the officers underneath me. But it was a situation where, man, I hated it. But it was the other aspects of character dealings where I wasn't going to let them do bad. I was the type of person, I wanted to make sure if someone was failing their physical fitness test, because you had a lot of people that were put on, what's it called? People that pretty much, in a nicer term, people who were overweight, who weren't doing as good, passing their physical fitness tests, I would exercise with them, you know, because I was always PT stud, which means I was always doing above and beyond, and I wasn't the fastest runner, I wasn't the strongest, but I was the most well-balanced, to where I was doing good in all categories. So I would always do excellent. So people that weren't doing good, I said, okay, let's go run. Let's go, I'll help you do better, I'll coach you. And that's what, you know, drill sergeant was saying, man, a lot of time, man, they just chose you because of your dealings, you know, how you were. And he told me, like, man, but I see you don't like to push yourself to be the best, to be better. I said, man, what's the point of pushing myself to be better? I'm not trying to impress nobody. I'm just trying to do the bare minimum. I'm just trying to get through. He said, man, bare minimum attitude, you're going to get bare minimum results. And I said, man, it is what it is, but, I mean, I guess, you know, so I really didn't have, you know, like, that point in time, I didn't have the drive to really lead like that. You know, I didn't want to, you know, but it was a situation where, at the same time, when you know, or others know that you have something to offer and you don't bring that forward, that's also a disservice to the people that you're working with. You know, it's when you're thinking about only yourself, you know, that, man, I'm just trying to do me. You know, I'm just trying to get by. I'm just trying to do this. I'm not trying to worry about all of that. You know, I'm just trying to do this. you know. But a lot of times, man, your influence can have a big impact on the betterment of others, you know, and you're doing a disservice to others when you don't go after that, you know. And it really took that drill sergeant, man, he would just be on me a lot, you know, really kind of get me understanding. But it was dealing with others that it was like, all right, it may not be a big deal for me, but it can make a big difference for them. So I'm going to do it. But my spirit is when I do it, my name's going on it, nah, I got to do it to the best of my ability. It can't be like, nah, I can't be half done. All right, I got to do it. So, and I do it. But it was because of the fact that others needed me to do it. So I said, you know what, if they need me, then I'll do it. Just like the same thing, anything, like IQ, you know, you come to me all the time, here it is. All right, if you need me to do it, I'm going to do it. Like I tell brothers, I've been telling them for years. Yeah, you want to do it? I said, nah, don't ask me what I want to do. I don't want to do it, but if you need me to do it, I'll do it. Ask me if you need me to do it. Don't ask want. Want is desire. Do I desire to do this? Hell no, I don't desire to do it. But if you need me to do it, I will do it. So just like when a lot of times I cover down for a lot of brothers, they call, I'll be the #1 person they call when they need somebody to cover down. Hey, can you cover for me? Yeah, I'll be a liar if I said no. This is true. If I said I couldn't cover down, I'd be lying. Because it's just a matter of me not feeling like want to cover down because of other things that I want to do. But if the brother can't make it, I don't get on him like, hey, why can't you do it? What you doing? Why can't you be there? It's like, look, if you just call me saying you can't make it, I'm not going to question it. I'll do it. If you in your spirit you feel you can't make it, cool, I'll cover down. All right, that's an aspect of character and dealings. So just if brother or sister need me to do it, all right, I'll do it. You know, so I tried over the years taking out the aspect of how I feel. A lot of things, if I did how I felt, a lot of things just wouldn't get done. Like I wouldn't go to the gym, I wouldn't exercise because I never feel like going to the gym. People just think when you like exercise, you like a health nut, like you just feel like doing it like all the time. Hell no, I do not feel like going. I don't feel like loving the gym until after the workout. Then I feel good. But going, it's like, man, a lot of times you want to, all right, I'm going to go home, do some stuff at home. But you get tired and you don't never do nothing at home. So it's like, man, I got to go. Make yourself, just get up and go. You know, so it's just self-talk. You just got to talk to yourself and tell yourself, like, nah, it's not about how you feel. You got to do it. Nope, you got to get up. Nope, get up. Because it's like, think about like, a lot of you got kids. You don't care how your kids feel. They feel like they want to watch TV a little longer. You tell them, no, you got to get ready for bed. You got to get up. You got to go. We got to go. We got to do this, right? You don't tell, oh, you don't feel like, okay, you go ahead. You go ahead. Nah, it's like, we got to go. We're going to be like, come on, get dressed, get ready. You got to do that with yourself. You got to be your own parent in that regard. You got to tell yourself in your mind, nope, you got to get up. Nope, you stop rolling over. Don't set that alarm. No, don't reset it. Turn it off. Get up. Roll over. I tell my wife, man, if I don't get up, just kick me out the bed. I ain't going to like it, but just kick me up, you know, because sometimes you don't feel like it. Like, man, you want to go back to sleep, but it's like, look, just kick me. You know, just kick me. You know, when you be half asleep, you half awake, you know, the alarm that went off, you didn't hit snooze, you just want to go back to sleep, but you know you should get up because if you continue laying down, you know you're going to be late and you're going to be rushing when you get up. That's you every morning? Every morning. Man, hey, we got to change that though, because like, man, the day starts the night prior. But at the same time, like I tell the kid, man, I try to be open with the kids, especially, you know, like with Ra, because I've been mentoring him for years, man. Even times when him and his brother come over to my house, you know, a lot of time when, you know, because I've been a learning coach. But now we got Tila, so it's like, okay, I work, you know, with them and the other kids here, man. I tell them, man, when I be late, man, I apologize. I'm sorry, you know. And I tell them why. I'm late because I did not properly plan the night prior. You know, I didn't iron my clothes last night. I didn't make or prepare the food last night, you know, and that's why I was late today. That's what I do with the kids, man. I try to be as humble. And some may say, well, they kids, I don't have to do that as an adult, but I do it because I'm trying to help build their character too. It makes a difference because they see it. And sometimes, man, kids even call you out on stuff when you try to get, well, Daddy, I didn't see you. And shut up. You know, man, they see stuff too, man. They see your dealings and shortcomings, and I try to be just by the kids too, because I know they see it, and I want them to grow up in a way and take those characteristics, those aspects, and add it to their own spirit and become better. That's what I want. I want them to be better than myself. And if I see it, if I want them to be better than me, then I have to continue to work to be a better me today than I was yesterday. You know, and I got to live by that mentality. I got to, man, that's always been my motto, because even like in the military, everyone always wanted to become better than me, especially physically. I was called unsmokable. You could not stop me doing any exercise. You give me anything, I would keep doing it. You know, I just was unsmokable, because when I was so unsmokable, they stopped smoking me. They stopped making me do push-ups and squats. They just made me hump walls. Literally, just hump. Literally, I'm up there humping a wall, just in the military, that when I got in trouble. Like, that's the kind of stuff they had me do. Or you sitting up there, I'm a boom box. So I'm just up there as a boom box. Because I was always, and like I would tell them, I said, man, don't worry about trying to be better than me. Be better than yourself. Be better than what you was. I didn't want, man, I don't want anyone, don't fight to become better than me. Fight to become a better you. Be better than what you were, what you are, you know, because, I mean, man, I don't have, it's like, man, I look at certain brothers, it's like, man, I'm the type of brother, I think everybody be better than me. Like, man, I see other brothers, like, man, I think, like, man, I look at Kabash, man, I'm trying to be like that brother. Like, man, that's like my Moses right there. You know, you may not be anybody else's Moses, but yeah, he's my Moses. You know, it's like, man, I try to be like that brother. I love that brother's character. You know, man, I take that spirit of meekness from him and, man, add it to myself. Like, man, I look at like Debar, Ratazan, man, I see how they spirit is, man, how they, you know, aspects. All right, let me take that from them, how they deal, man, how they get with the people. Let me take that from them. You know, I look at, you know, Mike and Amon, they deal it, man, you could learn something from everybody. And I don't say nothing from nobody, everybody you can learn something from if you watch them. You know, sometimes we just like to look at everybody's flaws. I look at them, and man, I try to look at the good in everybody, man. Just flip it, just reverse it. Everything you look at, the flaws in everybody, just look at everything good in that person, even if it's just that one thing. Like, man, even certain things, even habits and things that you used to have. I used to have some of the abilities and traits that I see in other brethren that I have to kind of learn to reintegrate back into my spirit. So I look at aspects of some of the attributes that, man, I see in Rots under bars, like, man, I used to have some of them things, but I fell away from it. You know, I changed. I got to get back to it. I look at, man, Mike and Amon. It's like, man, it don't matter if it's raining, snowing, they're going to find a way to get to where they got to go. Bus, train, bike, skateboard, walking. Man, I used to be like that, you know. But, man, you know, it's you have to work to maintain. You know, that's the hardest part, because life is about balance. You got to, man, have the balance. I got to be good here, and I got to find the equilibrium to keep it. Because if I do anything too much or too little, I'm in error now. And just one simple aspect. If, for example, if I correct too much, every little thing, I become overbearing. If I stop saying anything and I just let everything slide, I become too lenient. You got to find the equilibrium and that balance to where you're good. So that's with a lot of things, man, finding that balance and finding the equilibrium, because I look at, man, people's character, and it inspires me to be better. And certain people, man, they may not feel like they inspire me, but, man, they inspire me more than they know. You know, I look at, man, Unc, you know, man, inspire me. You know, he's like the eldest of us. He's like old enough to everybody, daddy or grandfather, great-grandfather, man, 80 years old, you know, and I look at him, man, and I said, man, I want to be like him, you know, how humble. 78 is 80, that's almost there, okay? All right, 2 years. I know you be like Mike, 40 years old, he said, give me my year. Man, he said, give me my year. 39, I got you, Mike. But, man, I look at how people move, and I say, man, I want to be like that brother. I want to be like that sister, because, man, the beautiful things I grab from Monk is, as old as he is, man, he be humble, you know. And even if the times he may feel differently and may voice it, you know, it's a situation where, man, he'll come back and apologize. And the most humble, man, I'm sorry I said that. I'm sorry I did that, you know. Even, man, I shouldn't have been thinking like that. I shouldn't have did that, man. And that's what helps me in my spirit do the same thing, that, you know what, man, I should have communicated. I'm sorry. You know, I wasn't doing my best, you know, so, or, you know what, I was lazy. Even like, man, I told her, man, I said, just reached like the other day, man, I called and I said, man, I apologize, man. I have not sent in my report. And he's watching online, so I know he knows. But I apologize. 'Cause I've been failing to send in my reports for the past 2 months for security. I've been giving you verbal, but I haven't been sending them in bi-weekly, so I apologize for that, and I am going to fix and correct that, and of course, brother takes it well, yeah, man, you ain't the only one, man, everybody feel it, but I said, man, I got it, for me, I got to make sure I say it for me that, man, I apologize for that, but of course, as I say, like I tell a lot of people, like, oh, I'm sorry, it's okay, just don't do it again, that's true repentance. Laugh about it, but at the same time, it does get to a point, because the pet peeve I have for me, I hate to keep talking about something, like I'm gonna do something, and man, I never do it. I never get around to doing it. I hate when I do that. I don't like doing that. Even like with brothers, because, I'm in charge of, out-of-state operations, out-of-country operations, so it's like, when I tell brothers to this, like, yeah, I'm gonna call you, or, shoot, I know brothers, like Shamwan this week, I said, man, brother, he had called me, and I said, brother, I'm gonna call you back this week, all right? So, and I made sure I held myself accountable. Let me call that brother back, let me make sure I could call that brother back the next day, so making sure I communicate with him, making sure, man, I stay on my phone when people sending messages, man, let me make sure I get back to them as soon as possible. Message comes in, let me respond. Why? Because before I had the bad habit of when it comes in, I look at it, I put my phone down and continue doing what I was doing. I said, man, I got to change that. I didn't already looked at it. Let me just respond. It won't take that long. Let me just do it real quick. Just keeping those things in mind, improving the way I operate, all right? So with every little thing, it's just like no different interactions I have with brothers and sisters. Man, I go back, and it's like watching tape. I go back and review the film in my head and say, man, did I do that the best? Was I too rash? Was I too hard? And then you kind of grade yourself, like, man, how was I? Was I peaceable? Was I understanding? Did I examine first? Was I rebuking? Was I reproving? Did I move adequately? You know what? Man, I can improve on this. And I take that learning experience and I add into the next situation to handle it better. And I take that learning experience, add to the next situation, make it better, make it better, make it better. So to make sure that every dealing, there's an improvement at all times. I'm constantly improving. I'm constantly getting better. And I'm also fighting to maintain the consistency and the good works. All right, that's what I always try to make sure that I'm doing. Let's go ahead and read Proverbs 13:10 again.
Proverbs 13:10. Only by pride cometh contention, but with the well-advised is wisdom.
Man, I try to make sure I become well-advised. I try to always ask, and of course, when I ask, man, how was it viewed, or, ask for critiques, man, I'll be asking for critiques. What can be better? What can be worse? Man, I ain't got no problem if the truth is, you know what? I didn't like that PowerPoint. What didn't you like about the PowerPoint? The font wasn't readable like that. All right. I'm going to take that and I'm going to improve with the next lesson, making sure the font is more readable. That's it. I'm going to take that. And, if that's the general sense I'm hearing more of that, then okay, I know that's something I really have to improve on, and I'll go back to my workshop and improve on it. Same thing. It's like, man, like, even if other aspects, like with the lesson, if, went through it a little too fast. All right, next time I know, I'll slow it down some more, So I take it and I work to be better. It's not just something asking just how I did, so I get puffed up. I know I did good, So, nah, I may have failed, So how can I improve so that I can succeed? So those are things, man, evaluating just the dealings. How can I improve? How can I constantly improve? Same thing with security. Man, I may be doing a crappy job with security, so because sometimes you have an aspect where I can evaluate and work on some things, but I might miss some things, so who better than my brothers and sisters to help me make it better? So, man, go to them and, what can I do to add to make it better? What do you see? Because what you see may not be what I see. You know, I might feel like it's great, and it might just be decent. You know, so yeah, I don't know. But yet and still, getting other people's opinions, hey, it may help. Even like the same thing, I may not even be the best person for the job. It might be someone else that may be better than me. Man, I'm the least of the prophets. But man, a man better than me, yeah, let him. I don't have a problem with it. It's like the same thing with, man, like I said with Tila. I noticed, man, like Barack, man, that elder, he great at finances. I was business advisor of Tila. Man, that man knows more about business than I do. I can see that. If I can see that he knows more than me, he is elder than me in that area, then why wouldn't I relinquish my primary position as business advisor and give it unto him and I assist him? That's for the betterment of the body. That's for the betterment of Tila. Man, I don't have a problem doing that. That's what I did. And I brought it up to Barack. Say, hey, may you be primary business advisor. You know, I see how you're moving. I like it. I feel you're better than me. Man, can you do it? I ain't got a problem with that. Man, all praises, you know. So talk to IQ about it. He said, yeah, you sure? Man, yeah. You know, it was good. Make the switch. I assist him. I'm second. You know, not a problem. Not a problem. You know, go ahead. Where's the mic? May pass it to Kahan?
That also means that you're not operating in pride, because sometimes somebody can see that someone is better than them, but because they like that position, or it might bring attention, or they just like being over people,
Right.
then it's kind of hard to relinquish that position because of pride.
Right. And that's true, man. But I want to make sure I never get that way, man. I want to make sure if I see another brother moving and growing in the spirit, that I'm supportive of him. I don't feel like, damn, he coming for my seat. Mosh coming for my seat. You ain't getting my seat, damn it. You ain't getting it. But nah, that, you know what, in due season, it's like, nah, it's fine, man. I don't have a problem with it. I try to make sure I don't have that spirit, you know? So even like I said, like honestly, if someone, man, if the body feel like, man, brother come in, he moving with, man, he good on security, man, I don't mind. You be first on security. I will help you, you know? So you're better than me. You know, that's with anything, man. I want to make sure, man, mark my words, man, I promise. If someone better come in, man, let me know. I'll give it away in a heartbeat. Not in a negative way, but just, man, I don't mind, you know, because I know if they're better, they're going to make it, they're going to take it to the next level. You know, that's what they're going to do. And sometimes, actually, oftentimes, that's what's needed, you know. So, and I can't let my own personal feelings of, well, if he take it, and I'm gonna go into more of those dealings later on in other lessons. You know, I'm going to bring out more examples because I was in short with Saul and David. Like, Saul knew David was going to be king. You get to a point, like, he knew that, man, because he started knowing that David was getting the love of the body. You know, and that's a dangerous thing because you have the backing of the people. You know, you can have any position, you know, within the body, but the position may give you an aspect of the authority, but that doesn't mean it's going to get you the respect. You know, so I can have whatever's head of this, head of that, you know, but that doesn't mean that people truly respect me, you know, so they might think very little of me, you know, so, but yet and still, just because I have the title and position, they'll somewhat more so abide by that and respect that for order's sake, but as far as dealings, it's like, man, I ain't got no dealing with that brother, you know, so, and that may be the truth, but it's up to me to realize that and to fight to correct that and make myself better so that stigma isn't there, you know? And so, and if there are ways that I'm offending, then it's up to me to realize I'm making those errors and fight to improve them. You know, I can't just take a mindset of, well, shoot, that's their fault. They taking it personal. You know, you build a bridge and get over it. That's it. You know, man, I can't be like that, you know? So, but those are good points, but I'm gonna bring that up like maybe like in 2 months. You know, really go deep into more of those dealings. Daniel 1:17, please, sir, and then Proverbs 11:2. Go ahead.
The book of Daniel, chapter 1, and verse 17. As for these 4 children, God gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom.
Whoa, he said as for these 4 what?
These 4 children.
These 4 children, they were still young, but what did the Most High do with these children?
God gave them knowledge.
He gave them what?
God gave them knowledge.
The Most High gave these children knowledge. Read.
And skill in all learning.
And skill in some learning.
In all learning.
In all learning. Read.
And wisdom.
And wisdom. You can have those. It's like, man, certain people, whether they're younger than me or elder than me, man, I try to make sure I treat everybody like gold to the best of my ability, you know, because it's like, man, I never know what type of spirit that person may have, you know, and then I don't know what spirit that person even is. Like a lot of times, and I'm gonna go into that too, like next month, you'll get that next month. As far as like, man, for all I know, I could be sitting next to Abraham right now. You know, I could be sitting right next to him. And yet and still, in my own head, be like, man, if Abraham was here, man, I wouldn't disrespect Abraham, but yet and still, I disrespect him because he's right here. You know, so to speak. Not saying literally. He could be anybody. He might be Judas. I don't know. Judas Maccabeus. Not Iscariot, but Maccabeus. I don't know, man. That's why, you know, say, man, I'm the least of the problem. Anyone else, man, greater person than me, you know. So it's like, man, but just moving in that wisdom, just like the same thing. It's like, man, it's certain sisters. It's like, man, that's my Judith or that's my Esther. It may not be someone else's Judith or Esther, but it's my Judith and Esther, you know. So because that's how I feel about it, you know. So it's like, man, I see certain spirits on, you know, brothers and sisters. And it's like, man, that's how it's like that becomes like, man, that person in the flesh for me, you know. So it's like, man, it's a lot. But let's go ahead and read that again. Daniel 1:17.
As for these 4 children, God gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom.
Right. Because that's, oh, I'm sorry, but go ahead.
And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams.
Man, and Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams, because out of those 4 children, he was the greatest amongst them, even though they were all great. Meshach, Shadrach, and as Rasha says, a bad Negro, you know. So, but man, the Most High gave them that, you know. And a lot of time when you look at, like I was saying earlier, Daniel, Solomon, or shoot, even when you look at, man, Huey P. Newton, you know, and things of that nature, or shoot, even from the heathen, you know, Alexander the Greek, he was still young too, he was 21, you know, so conquering and things of that nature, but yet and still, you know, it's still spirit and man. They get Proverbs 11:2.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 11 and verse 2. When pride cometh, then cometh shame.
Man, a lot of time with pride, when pride is in the way, then comes shame. You know, 'cause like I said, it's like, man, it's like if I see, if I'm able to see, like going back, I was saying, like, bro, if I'm able to see, man, he's doing good, he's great, then you know what, eventually other people will start seeing it too. You know, and then as a leader, you know, or as a head, it's like a situation where if it goes on, you know, a situation where that person isn't rightfully exalted, then it becomes a situation of where, well, are you not being mindful of the flock to where you don't see it? Or are you simply ignoring it and you're trying to more so just keep a position or authority of power? You know, because the one, you're not paying attention to the flock, or you're trying to keep position of power because the brother's moving, you know, the brother, man, he's moving. So it's either you don't see it, you just blind, or you don't want to see it, you know. So it's which one is it, you know? So, and just try to make sure, man, but that's when eventually, hey, shame can come in, because then someone could say, nah, we want him, you know. And it's like, well, damn, maybe, well, people have spoken. So, you know, and they can, you know, press upon it, you know, especially with something that's true, you know. So, but go ahead and with all that, Proverbs 11:2.
When pride cometh, then cometh shame, but with the lowly is wisdom.
Right, because even there's times where, shoot, you may have thought you had it, and you may have been too prideful to ask for help. You know, it's like, man, it's like if I know brothers have certain gifts and things to offer, it's like, man, I'd be a fool not to ask them for help. You know, why wouldn't I go to that person that, you know, they have that gift or ability, and not even ask them for help. You know, if I know, you know, brother has certain, you know, gifts, skills, and abilities, the sister has certain gifts, skills, and abilities, why wouldn't I go to them for advice in those particular areas? No one knows it all, but part of it is the aspect of fear, because if I do go to that person, there is an aspect where I'm giving that person power, you know? So it does take humility to go to somebody, because it's like, well, you know, well, who you go to? Well, I went to that brother for advice. You know, I had to go to that sister for advice. You know, it can be an aspect where it can be humbling. And some people, they'd rather suffer and hit their head or go through it than to humble themselves to go to that sister or go to that brother. You know, just like you can have certain brothers like, man, you should go to so-and-so. Man, he'll show you how to do it right, or do this or whatever it is. And, you know, it's like, all right, you know, I'm good, you know, or good for him, good for her. You know, it's like, man, it's like they have something good to offer. Why wouldn't you get that from them? You know, as the scriptures say, man, covet the best gifts. You know, it's no problem with that, man. I look at many individuals and I try to, man, covet the best gifts from them, because, man, they all greater than me. You know, so, but, man, get Sirach 22 and 27. Of course, man, any questions, you can always raise your hand, things of that nature, you know, definitely, you know, hear from you. Get Sirach 22 and 27.
Sirach 22 and verse 27. Who shall set a watch before my mouth, and a seal of wisdom upon my lips, that I fall not suddenly by them, and that my tongue destroy me not?
Get Proverbs 27 and 17. So who's going to set a watch over my mouth? Who's going to set a watch over my mind, man, and make sure I'm not doing things to make a fool of myself? I'm not embarrassing myself. I'm not doing things that are shameful. Because like I said, man, a lot of times people will watch you fail. They'll watch you stumble. They'll watch you make errors rather than correcting you and helping you fix those things. You know, so who will help you fix those things? Read that.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 20.
I said Proverbs 27, 17.
Oh, Proverbs. Thanks, Sister Right. Proverbs 27 and verse 17. Iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend.
Man, it's going to be his friend. His friend should be there to help him or her in those areas. You know, and I try to make sure I'm being a friend to everybody. You know, so in being there to help them in those areas, and I hope being a friend to me to help me in the areas I may not be doing as well in, to help me become better, you know, because there's certain things I may see and certain things I may not see, you know, so, and that's where it's like, man, I just want betterment, you know, so I just want betterment. But let's go ahead and get Job 34 and 32. Get Job 34 and 32.
Job chapter 34 and verse 32. That which I see not, teach thou me.
Man, that's how I be feeling, man. That which I see not, man, teach me. It's like, man, you know, show me the way or the path in which I must walk. You know, teach me. Read.
If I have done iniquity, I will do no more.
Man, and if I've done wrong, if I erred, man, I'm going to do my best not to make that offense anymore. Because sometimes we may offend and we might not even know we offended. You know, I didn't know when I did that it made you feel that way. You know, I wasn't aware of that, you know. And sometimes some people still, they might react more harshly. Well, you should have known. It's like, man, I didn't. Because it's like a lot of times we might feel, sometimes we might feel you should have known that. You should have known better. And we might point the finger very well. But I really can't point the finger to do that because I don't know what your upbringing was like. I don't know who was or wasn't there to teach you, you know. So it was like, for me, most of my life I spent on the streets. I was homeless, you know, so I was moving place to place, you know, household to household, you know, F student, like, that was like my life for like most of my life, you know, and I'm like, shoot, I flunked second grade. Like, I was, shoot, not doing good in school, like, whatsoever. I was in special ed classes, especially in middle school. But I became an A student from 8th grade on up. Like, I became an A student, honors, even my wife too, we were both honor student, you know, and A student, things of that nature. Won like 12 scholarships, things of that nature. But it was an aspect where I didn't necessarily have all the teaching that I necessarily needed at certain times. And had I not have gone through certain situations that of being on the streets or doing certain things, even illegal things, and I wouldn't have learned, you know, the things that I knew now. And that's why a lot of times when I got to high school, a lot of things I didn't have a taste for because I'd already been through it or seen a lot of stuff growing up, you know. So it became, a lot of things became a turnoff, man. That's why certain things, man, I still to this day, man, I just don't do. You know, it's just due to those experiences, you know, and that's what literally I was like, man, like brother said now, like, oh, so, man, I was like an old man in high school. In Boswell, you an old man. It's like, man, I've been through a lot, you know. It's like, man, when you go through a lot, it changes. You can either become a product of the environment or you can overcome the environment. It was like, man, it can change you, but it's once again back to character. And that's why I spent like 4 years as a motivational speaker, because it wasn't, the motivating part wasn't going through a whole lot of stuff. It's like, man, you name it, I probably either seen it or been through it, you know, but it's not necessarily going through it that's like the biggest motivating thing. It's how you didn't become the product of it, and somehow you had a different mentality. That's the biggest thing that inspires people. Like, how do you go through that and not turn out like this, which is the stereotypical way you should have turned out with those things, you know? So it's, man, that's the beautiful thing, you know, but it's just character, you know, and it's, like my motto was like, man, to the world, you might be one person, but to one person, you might be the world, you know? You might just matter like that much to that person, you know, and you just got to keep going. But let's go ahead and, that's why I said, man, what it is that I don't see, man, teach thou me. And if I done iniquity, I'll do no more. We get Hebrews 13 and 17. Hebrews 13 and 17, and we're going to get Hebrews 5, 13 and 15. But like I said, man, this situation, you never know who was or wasn't there to teach that person. So it's like, man, instead of judging, do what I can to just help that person become better. That person may not have had that mother there, may not have had that father there. I was with my mother for like first 12 years, and mother abandoned, she left, and only saw her like twice 6 years later, and she died. You know, both my parents died when I was still young. Well, mother left when I was 12, died 6 years later, and then like a couple years later, my dad died. So, you know, but both died like 52, 53, you know, so, but yet and still, situation, I still remember the things that my mother instilled into me was more so morality and ethics, and then my dad as far as aspects of knowledge and wisdom. So a lot of errors that they had, you know, but they did teach me a lot of things. And at first I was frustrated with both of my parents due to, you know, aspects of dealings, like why not being able to accept at first why my mother would abandon me and my sister, but realized later on what she was going through at the time. She loved the streets, you know, and realizing that she loved the streets, and she had a lot of other problems with drugs. Knowing that she didn't like her kids to be in that environment, they were better off with somebody else, you know, but I didn't know how to deal with it at the time, so I was outlandish in certain ways, and, you know, I had to build, you know, my character, become better. You know, and even with my pops, with certain things, he would, hey, do for money. You know, certain things had to do for money, you know, to provide and take care of, which he hoped I would never have to do, you know, which my other siblings really didn't see as much. It was just late night runs, but it was like, man, you know, he said, look, I hope, you know, you made better decisions, but sometimes as a man, you know, if I can't provide for my family, what good am I? you know, so that's what his mindset was. So I understood, you know, and I didn't hold it against him, you know, so, but it was an aspect where I said, man, in a good way, I want to be a better parent than what both my parents were, you know, so I want to make sure that I'm a better provider. I'm there with my kids. I'm making time, because I really didn't get a whole lot of love and affection from my father. You know, he was very harsh, very cruel, sometimes abusive, you know, but it was a situation where I said, you know what, I want to learn to give my children more love, which my wife knows I struggled with affection and love because I really never really got that, you know, so it was hard for me to really show that unto others, you know, so that was something like, man, a big aspect. I have to always work, improve my character and really showing that, you know, so, but yet and still, it was just not giving up on it, you know, and just saying it is what it is, but just really fighting to, you know, become better, to become that. That was my other saying I would say, be the change that you want to see, you know, be the change that you want to see. You looking, a lot of times we just be looking for someone else to be looking for change. It's like, man, be that change that you want to see, you know, fight to do it. That's what my motto was. That's how I was, like, man, being that change you want to see. And I became the person that you see today because I was fighting to become that person for years, fighting to, you know, change the stigmas of, like, man, it was times I was told that's how I became an A student, because it was actually out of anger, because I was like, I was giving up on. Like, family was done when they want to deal with me, they were going to put me in foster care, because I was the type of person, like, man, I was just failing. And what do you do when someone just failing? They don't want to listen. It's like, man, to hell with them, you know? So it was like, man, that was enough to where it's like, man, out of spite, they don't give them, all right, I'm going to start paying attention in class, got out of special ed classes, you know, started paying attention, started doing the work, started listening, you know, and, hey, became an A student, you know, just change your mindset, you know, so it was just like that, you know, but nevertheless, all right, let's keep going. Let's get, read that again, Hebrews 13:17.
Hebrews 13:17. Obey them that have the rule over you, and submit yourselves, for they watch for your souls.
They do what?
They watch for your souls.
Man, the whole thing is to watch for your soul. Watch for your safety. Watch for your well-being. Improve you. Go ahead and get Hebrews 5:13 and 15.
Hebrews chapter 5 and verse 13. For everyone that useth milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil.
Right, because you have those, and the scripture give credence to both. You know, that's why you have different examples, because you had those who were physically elders or physically wise, and you had those who were spiritually wise or spiritual elders, like Daniel, like Ezra, things of that nature, that they were young, but the Most High gave them that spirit, you know, which you even read, like, even like the history of Susanna, which even the elders at that point in time, when the accusation came up against those elders, it was even like, man, so the Most High is giving you, you know, that spirit of an elder in this situation, you know, man, we'll listen to you, you know, so because it's all about the spirit that the Most High puts in man, you know. Go ahead and read 1 Maccabees 2:65, and then get Sirach 3:1.
First Maccabees chapter 2:65.
Go ahead, read that.
And behold, I know that your brother Simon is a man of counsel. Give ear unto him always. He shall be a father unto you.
He shall be a father unto you. We're going to revisit this one. Get Sirach 3:1.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 3 and verse 1. Hear me, your father, O children, and do thereafter that ye may be safe.
So all these things, you know, is always, you know, the scripture always give, you know, all these wise sayings, it's always to listen, to do thereafter that you may be safe, that you may be better. You know, going back to the first, well, main scripture of the lesson was dealing with first Maccabees, you should be a father unto you, because a father has a particular interest in your safety and security. You know, a father's going to make sure you're safe physically as well as spiritually. You know, he's going to look out for you and provide the knowledge, the understanding, the wisdom, the things that are necessary to help you be better, to make sure that, you know, as even like my pops, because he was big on lectures, you know, and my siblings, man, they hated it. They were like, man, these damn lectures, you know, but yet and still, I loved it, you know, because that through the lectures was how you learned about life experiences and you know, how, you know, sibling thing of nature, how everyone was able to have a foot over a lot of the peers because you were constantly taught. You know, you were constantly taught about different things and how to move and how to operate. You know, with certain things, you know, you should and shouldn't do. You know, even though I only had my father in my life for 4 years, you know, but it was still, those 4 years were very powerful. You know, and I got those 4 years in, you know, my teenage, you know, years, you know, at the time that, you know, I needed them most because I wasn't performing as well, you know, so, and I was giving the different people I was staying with more of a hard time, especially the one I was staying with, my brother. You know, my brother, he's 46, you know, and so I was giving him a very, you know, hard time, because I'm 20 years behind generation, so I have like a few siblings that are in their 40s, you know. So it was a situation where I would just give him a hard time, you know, and I apologize to him for that, not necessarily valuing all his efforts that him and his wife were trying to do with me when I was younger, you know, and just not having a good character at that time, you know. So sometimes it's even knowing, man, that you may not have done things as good, but you know what, I can keep fighting it to do them better, to do my best to make up for it and really show the appreciation of the time that, you know, people may have taken out of their lives to deal with you, you know, because they, you know, I mean, my brother didn't have to do that, but due to the dealing, since, you know, mom's left, things of that nature, he felt obligated to take in his baby brother and baby sister, you know, so, and he did that to the best of his ability, even though certain things he could have done better, but he did to the best of his ability, went through the pain and you know, suffering, sorrow, and, you know, for that, you know, I'm thankful, you know, but with that, it's 9:17, you know, y'all rather end it or keep going, so, keep going. Go ahead, sis, you got a question? May someone give her the mic in the back?
Okay, so say like, we're talking about character. So say if you say something to somebody that maybe you could have said it better and you apologize maybe for how you said it, but you meant what you said and the person needed to hear like how you, like the fact that you would even say it. And for real, maybe you even keep saying it the way that you're saying it because they're not getting it no other way. Does that make you wrong? Like, because I have a sister, and she's a special case. Like, and I feel like I try to be nice to her because I want to improve my character, but she's simple. Like, and I don't know how to deal with her other than how I deal with her. You know what I'm saying? So what do I do? Like.
There's a catch-22 with it. I like it into like, same deal like I had at times with my wife. You know, it was times when I might feel, all right, look, you know, you just gotta, you know, listen, and you're not listening to what it is, you know, that I'm saying. But sometimes it was back to, even though I may have been saying something that was truthful, it was also, you know, how I was saying it. And I had to, and I caught myself, you know, it was just like, maybe like a year ago, something like that, you know, 7 months, 8 months, 9 months ago, that I had to catch myself in the conversation and my dealings of, you know what, I noticed where my faults lie at. You know, I noticed that I didn't put myself in mind to better be in the right spirit to deal with her accordingly with how it is regarding her issue and her concern. So I had to tell her, you know, respectfully, wait, give me like 3 to 5 minutes. Let me go back, gather my thoughts, renew my mind so I can change my spirit and how I'm giving you. Because I noticed I was responding to her issues and not answering or dealing with her issues the way that she needed. So I had to stop what I was doing, catch myself, go exit out of the situation, go meditate, renew my mind and spirit, saying, okay, it's about her, her needs, her concerns, how she's something that she feels bothered about. I need to, okay, put myself in spirit to deal with that and come back out and deal with it in a better spirit. And when I did that, that's what finally got my wife to get that extra push to where she's now moving in that more excellent in spirit that I really wanted her to move in, you know, but go ahead.
But see, your wife is willing. Like my sister's in the world, you know what I'm saying? And she don't think that there's nothing wrong with the way that she's moving. And I can't, like I could be, I guess I could be kind, or I could change the way that I approach her, but she doesn't think that she's doing anything wrong. So
Okay.
is it okay for
Sound
me
like
to
my
just,
sister.
yeah, is
Well, one
it
of my
okay for me to just leave her alone? Like,
I'll go, that sounds like, I have 6 sisters. So that sounds like one of my 6. You too? Sure. Man. But yeah, that sounds like one of my sisters. It was to the point where even like other sisters and brothers was like, man, we're not really gonna mess with her like that, because it's, like she be the type of person who's similar to what you're saying, like wouldn't deal right and be mindful what she's saying and how she's saying it, you know. And what I did was, she got way better with time. She got way better with time. But at that point in time, I started distancing myself a little bit, because I noticed if I would remain really, really close, it was going to be toxic for the both of us. It was going to lead to more problems. So I distanced myself from my sister a little bit in order to help her, but at the same time, not bring down my own spirit, my own family, things of that nature. I couldn't entertain her on the level which I would generally want to entertain her like I would my other siblings, because of how she is and how she reacted and how she would deal with things and how she would talk to people. So the best thing that I did was still not necessarily get on her, but just tell her, like, look, if you keep talking to people like that, eventually you're gonna run into the wrong person, and it's gonna turn very, very bad, you know. And, you know, situation where I would just do that, but I couldn't put myself in that environment all the time with her, because it would, some people, and even that's why I watch myself, because sometimes some people may be more poisonous for us than helpful for us, you know. And even that's unfortunately sometimes with certain family members at times, you know, where they may not be as helpful or as good in certain situations. We're trying to use the best word terminology without using opprobrious words or other things. But the best thing you do is just be that example and keep doing what you're doing. And sometimes some people aren't as willing to change within themselves. Sometimes we want other people around us to be better and deal right with us, but we may not be as willing to deal right with them. If you're still being upright in your dealings, you know, in certain times, even if it's true, like I said, may not want to hear the truth, but if it's still, look, this is true, this is what you need to hear as your sister, as your brother, I have to let you know. You know, that's still like what Ezekiel says. Ezekiel chapter 3. Ezekiel chapter 3, verse 18. This is one. Ezekiel chapter 3 and verse 18.
Ezekiel chapter 3.
Yeah. You can start at 17.
Ezekiel 3 and 17. Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore, hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me.
So we're still watchmen and watchwomen over our nation, over our people. You know, even think about the prophet. They had to go out to the world with our people, even certain ways that they weren't doing correct, and had to deal with them and talk with them. But read on.
When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity.
So if you don't correct that person, if you don't tell them how they're doing, then they're going to be affected by it, and they may run into problems later. But read on.
But his excuse me. But his blood will I require at thine hand.
But the Most High holds you accountable. You know, even if that person may be stubborn, they may be wicked, they may not want to hear it, you still have to do your part in letting them know and telling them. And if you're doing that, you're doing the right thing. Read on.
Yet if thou warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul.
But at the same time, if they don't want to listen, they don't want to hear it, they want to tell you off, that is their choice. That does not put you now in the wrong. That is what they're choosing to do. So at that point in time, it falls on them. Your hands are clean or innocent of the situation. And I'll get one more. Get Proverbs 9 and 8. Because they also deal with the aspect like, man, should I just, man, they don't want to hear it. Just, should I keep telling them? Well, if you've already told them, you've done your job. You don't have to get a mallet and just, you're going to get it every single time. You know, you don't have to do that, because at the same time, that creates a negative environment, you know, and you don't want that. Even the scriptures speak against that. Get Proverbs 9 and 8.
Proverbs chapter 9, verse 8. Reprove not a scorner.
So, reprove not a scorner. So a scorner is someone who, they just like that. They just don't want to hear, completely against it. No, just, you know, reprove not a scorner. Why?
Lest he hate thee.
Lest he hate thee. You know, then you become that aspect of hate and ridicule, and it creates more of a negative environment in that relationship. You know, read on.
Rebuke a wise man, and he will love thee.
But rebuke that wise person, they will love you. So it is, even though you're supposed to correct all, how much, how frequent changes based upon that person's spirit. If that certain people, they're more open. Man, if you see me messing up, man, get on me. Even certain brothers and sisters, certain brother, man, I didn't have a dad like that. So, man, if you see me, man, I need that. You know, man, he wants more of it. You know, but someone else, man, I ain't trying to hear all that, man, get away with me that. Then I know with that person, it's only going to be when they're really making offenses against the law. You know, other than that, as far as helping build their character, they're not really open to it. So I can't cast my pearl before swine and really tell them, like, hey, you should really be doing this. You should mind your own damn business. You know, so that's just it, you know. So they tell me where to go. It's like, look, you know, hey, try to help. If that person doesn't want that extra, then I have to, unfortunately, remove myself from that and not give them that extra, you know. So at the end of the day, you know, I can't heavily take it personal. Well, it's like, damn, I'm trying to help you, nigga. You know, so I can't take that same mindset and now bump it up to the next level, because they're not being as recessive as I feel that they should be or want them to be. You know, I have to just say, you know what? I have to now deal with them like this, you know. And sometimes with family members now, I was dealing with you like this, but it's become more hurtful and toxic. Now I have to change it and deal with you like this a little more, you know, in order for the sake of us to still be in a decent standing. You kind of get me? So, was that helpful at all? Go ahead. It wasn't helpful, you be honest.
Yeah, no, it was helpful, but I just wonder because, okay, so you was talking about how your sister was talking to people crazy and it wasn't good for the relationship. Well, reality is I was that sister. You know what I'm saying? So now I feel an obligation to continue to try to with my sister, because I know that I've reproved myself in that area. You know what I'm saying? And now I feel like I understand why you don't want to hear me, because I know I used to talk reckless to you. So, but now that I'm chilling, I'm trying to give you this, and she's not taking it because she feels like I'm still that same, because she's not paying attention. That's what I'm saying. Like, I just feel like, okay, so what do I do? Because I can tell that you're just not in a place to receive it, but I know that it might be my fault that you're not in a place to receive it. So do I still continue to try to get through to you, or I guess I should just leave it alone, or just maybe let her come to me? But that's what my other sister was saying, like.
Right, and all of those things are applicable, you know, but if you really feel like, man, because, you know, certain things, it can be an aspect of emotional attachment that because I was like that and I saw how I was, I have more of a connection to my loved one or this person that I see who's in a place that I once was. So I feel more obligated to help that person get out of it. If you feel that, you know what, that's what you want to ride, that's what you want to do, that's fine, you know. But you have to understand the cost that's also involved of where it takes from you or from your family, from your household, no different than like me being difficult and all the hell I put my brother through, but he felt obligated to ride or die. I got to take care of my brothers. I got to help them because I wasn't there as often as I should have been for them growing up. And at the time now that, you know, mom is gone, I need to be there for them, you know, so I need to deal with the turmoil, even though it's hampering my family, my wife and my children. You know, I need to do this, you know. So, and that was his mission. That's what he felt was his mission, you know. And that's why I tell him, like, man, I appreciate it, you know, everything. I didn't fully appreciate it then at, you know, 13 years old, you know, but I learned later on and to value his efforts, you know, value his efforts, even knowing when someone may not have done things the best, but they did the best they could with what they knew at that point in time. So I'm grateful for what you did do, you know, and it's a situation where as long as you keep trying, you may not get through to her this year or next year. It might be 3 or 4 years down the road. It may be the Most High may eventually cause her to go through something or for something to happen, and now I finally changed. Like my sister, she was like that for a very, very, very long time, but she started to change. I still dealt with her, you know, and I was like, man, I'm glad you're finally starting to see it. You know, I'm glad you're not that just reprobate person that you just used to be, you know, because it was like, man, it was really hard to spend time with you and talk to you when you were like that, because it's like, man, it was very draining, you know, it was very negative, and you don't want to be around someone that's just negativity and it's just, they're reckless, you know. But I'm glad you made the changes, you know, and it's still, yeah, not giving up on that person, you know, still working with them and still meeting them where they're at, you know. It's like certain people, it's a special case. I got to meet them where they're at so I can help better them to be what I want them to be, and I know others around may want them to be, and I know deep down it's also where they want to be, they just don't see it yet, you know. And so that's the same thing. What do you think our battle is when going out there getting the lost sheep? I mean, they don't want to hear it, you know. It's like, man, why you think Jonah chose rather go out on a ship and end up getting swallowed by a fish to learn, hey, you got to go let them know, you know, you got to tell them. They may not want to hear it. It's like, damn, I got to go back there and deal with my people. I do not want to do that. They don't want to hear it. They might try to kill me, you know. It's like, but you got to do it. It's like, man, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Thus saith the Lord. All right, y'all got to repent, you know. So if that's really strong in your spirit, you feel it, you know, do it. You know, it's you're doing it to win your loved one, you know, because it's the same thing. Like, if you feel like, man, that's my sis, I got to help her, then, you know, keep riding with it, keep doing with it. Be patient, be understanding, already know what mindset you got to be in when dealing with that person. You know how they going to respond. I know how this person going to take it, but I still got to do it. You know, no, I still got to do it, you know. So you get me, sis? You know, so, you know, I hope, I'll pray everything, you know, goes well, and hope and pray that one day, you know, she does come around the way, you know, you need her to. Yeah, it is building your character, you know, so that's going the extra step, you know. It's going the extra step. It's like you got what you're obligated to do, and then you have what I'm gonna push myself to keep doing, you know, even though I don't have to. I did the bare minimum, but I'm gonna keep pushing because I want to see the fruits of my labor, and I want to see it eventually, you know, pay off, you know. And a lot of times, being that good teacher, you know, just being that good example, you know, being that light that, you know what, if I can't, you ever get like a stubborn, you know, pilot that won't come on? It's like, man, if I can't get you to come on, it's like, man, all right, I will try another method and hopefully this works. It's like, man, if you can't get her to light, then hopefully you can increase your flame, so eventually it'll catch fire too, you know. So you got to kind of be like that, you know. So, but that's good. So hopefully that works. But it's 9:34. I'm out of talking minutes. So with that being said, any other questions? We good? All right, if we good, then I in class. All right. So with that, that's it. Say shalom. All right. Oh, you got to. The last scripture, Sirach 3:1. I want to say that's the one. Proverbs 9:8. I went to that one. Oh, Proverbs 9:8. You got that one? Oh, the other scripture I went to. I think that was it. Say it again. Say it again. Oh, yeah, when I was talking to her, 3:17-18. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot one thing, family. Any announcements? I'm sorry. Any announcements? No announcements, Rasha or